All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It's Cranked and Ranked, back for another artist discography ranking.
If no, you like to think you're cranked and ranked.
Ooh, I like that.
Thought of that on the fly. That was pretty
good. For those of you who are new to this podcast / YouTube show, we are a couple of blokes. One from the US, one
couple of geezers
from the UK. I did this even though we'll be next to each other on the thing, but right anyway. And we talk about music. We rank artist discographies and other sort of lists. And it's a very lengthy discussion about the music, which is really the most important part. And normally we do rock and metal and related music like that. But occasionally we dive into the world of hip hop because we're both fans. And usually it's like when an artist comes along that we think of, like, man, that would just be great to talk about them. And that's when we end up throwing one in. And so today is absolutely one of those, I think probably one of the most interesting hip hop groups ever. And we're going to be talking about Outkast and ranking their albums from least good to most good, which is only 6, 7 if you consider Speakerboxxx Love Below 2 different albums, but we're not in this particular case. But yeah, we're going to be ranking those and having a good old discussion about the boys, Big Boy and Andre 3000 from Outkast. And as usual, your host, Old Head, with me as always, Eddie motherfucking Sparxx.
Hey,
Oh, hey, yeah. So we're gonna. This is God. Every time we take a week off, I feel like I've disengaged somehow, and like I'm a train that's not quite on the track. You know, and then all of a sudden it smooths out, and then we're good to go again.
Be careful! Don't derail. The government will set you on fire and make things worse.
Is that a news item? I ignore so much news these days just for my own sanity.
It's like I stopped watching a lot of the news, but every now and again a story will captivate me. And I saw an aerial photo of this quote unquote controlled burn that they're doing on this. Have you heard about this? The Ohio, I think it's Ohio, train derailment.
Yeah, and there was like chemicals on it or something.
Yeah, I think it's like vinyl chloride or something, and they thought, shit, to stop it seeping into the ground or some shit, we'll just we'll set it on fire, and that will just dissipate it into the atmosphere. Only thing they didn't take into account is that the giant black plume of smoke commingled with the cloud cover above it. So there is an aerial photo of just cloud cover and this giant black spot of chemical smoke. And like, I feel so bad for everyone living there. Cause like, I saw someone, you know, I know we don't usually talk about this sort of thing. We're more of a music focused thing, but I saw a video of a woman pouring milk into her morning cup of joe and it sizzled.
Holy shit. Okay, that's when I would just leave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not staying around.
At that point, that is a glass of instant cancer right there. Like,
Jesus. And that's so interesting because I literally just several months ago watched this movie on Netflix, this brand new movie, which is about an airborne toxic event that happens when a truck and a train collide or something like that.
Horrible timing. Yes.
I don't remember the name of that movie, but it was a very difficult watch. It's got that guy who played the bad guy in that Star Wars reboot movie.
The dude that played Kylo Ren?
Yes, that guy. I like him.
Shit, what's he called? He's in an ad that I literally saw the other day, and he says his own name. Like, you did it, me. I can't remember his name. Shit.
Sorry, bro, you're not. Your name's. I mean, he's good in the movie, but I don't even remember what the movie was called because it was a frustrating movie because it's based off of like an absurdist play. So it's supposed to have points where it doesn't make any sense what's going on, or it derails into something else. No pun intended. But as a movie and not just following a story of a movie, halfway through the movie, I go, "Oh, they just abandoned what the fucking movie was about." Okay, now I'm out. Like it literally is like it seems like a fascinating movie, and then it becomes like, "Oh, I get it. It's art," and then it just it loses me. But it wasn't bad, and that guy whose name I can't remember was really good in it. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. And I'm like, "Oh shit, there's literally an airborne toxic event happening."
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw like a headline about the train wreck, but I'm like, nah, I don't want to read into that because it's just,
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, oh, that's awful and depressing. I don't need that. But like an important thing I saw like highlighted was like the emphasis mainstream news coverage was putting on the like UFO Chinese spy balloon stuff. Right? Right?
Yeah.
And it's like there's a dang camera in the sky. And it's like might want to look over there where there's a big old plume of vinyl chloride being poured into the sky.
Or just look anywhere around you where there are cameras all the time filming all sorts of shit all the time that they could just get anyway. it's like, anyway, I mean, that's why we're doing this. We're sending this to China so they can learn about good music. So, hello everyone in China. All the officials over there. We're going to talk about Outkast. You're going to learn all about the great American hip hop group Outkast from the South, from Atlanta, Georgia. Anyway,
Atlanta on the map.
As usual, we're going to start by talking about where this group came into our lives. And for me, it was pretty much the same time for most people, which was in 1994. I saw the music video for Players Ball on MTV. And I wasn't immediately impressed because unfortunately around that time, gangster rap had become like a Halloween costume. So literally every day there'd be a new group that you didn't know, and their songs were always like drive-bys and the gangster lean and like literally every fucking song. And so it got to the point where they came out and they didn't necessarily have all of the tropes and stuff, but they were close enough to it that I just went, okay, it's another group. But
it's like the saturation of just like a shitload of hair metal bands in like 89, 1990, and I love that. But to say that it wasn't overpopulated would be a massive understatement.
Yeah. Which it's obviously it's not the first genre of music that became oversaturated. It happens all the time. But at that point, it started to get really difficult to weed through the ones that seemed very much like they were manufactured, and the songwriters were like, look, you got to say 40, you got to say gangsta, you got to pour out some of your 40 for your homie somewhere in the video, mention a drive-by. It's like all these, so but then there were other groups that were actually really great, and Outkast was one of those groups. But what? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I should just like record like a G-Funk beat and then just read the game manual for GTA San Andreas. And that would pretty much be it.
There you go.
Press X to jump. Oh no, press square to jump.
Funny. But my actual like relationship with them as being a fan didn't start until their third album, Aquemini, and that started because I remember being at a late night diner and they were playing the album just on the overhead speakers. And this is one of those like post drinking, like the bars had closed. We went to a diner and I'm just listening to this shit. I'm all like, this is fucking great. Who is this? And like, it's Outkast. I'm like, fuck yeah. So I got into Outkast around that point with Aquemini, which I think was 98 or something like that. So how about you? Like this is a group that they were still relatively young when you were born. So, it's a little bit similar.
Well, I'm about the same age as Aquemini, but I distinctly remember My first exposure to him was, God, I could have been like 8, 7 or 8, and I saw the music video for Hey Ya, and I thought it was really
Oh,
cool. And
yeah.
it took me a shockingly long amount of time to realize that everyone wearing green was Andre 3000.
Yeah.
you know, but that song and a couple others, I remember hearing growing up. And I was actually into hip hop shortly before I got into metal.
Yeah.
And then of course I dove deep into that, and like a few years later I dipped my toes back in. And because the thing is, back when I was at school, if you if you liked any hip hop, you were a chav. So I kind of like kept it to myself a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad enough I liked metal, so I was an outcast to one of them. So I was like, Outkast, nice.
Hey.
Yeah. But also I remember hearing something that I don't know how true this is, but Outkast originally wanted to be called the Misfits, but they were like, oh, that's already taken, so they went and looked up a synonym and they went for Outkast instead.
I did not know that, but that's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is. That might just be a urban legend, but I remember hearing it somewhere. I can't remember where.
Interesting. I mean, I do
Yeah.
like the Outcast with the K. It's a cool name.
Mm.
But yeah, man, Hey Ya, we'll get into that when we get to the album. But Hey Ya was like the song of the year when it came
Yeah.
out. Like I remember everybody loved it, but I remember like being at you probably don't have a Taco Cabana there in England, but Taco Cabana here is, when it comes to fast Mexican food, it is the best.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a fast food joint, but the food's, I mean, to me, is good. And we were there late one night, and literally just some random dude just yelled out, "What's cooler than being cool?" And everybody in the whole restaurant went,
Ice
"Ice
cold!"
cold!" And I was like, that's when you know your song is massive, when just a restaurant full of people. Anyway, so we've got 6 albums to rank. And the weird thing is that they're occasionally, because Outkast haven't done an album since 2006, and they are effectively broken up. But there's always these little things, like they'll do, they did Coachella and some other stuff. They've done shows,
Yeah.
but there's always this thing, especially if you follow them on social media, where all of a sudden they start posting stuff every day, like just different pictures of Outkast, and it makes you go, is something coming? And then all of a sudden you won't see anything for months, and you're like, okay, psych, never mind. But so it's always this thing of like, is there going to be anything new? Are they completely done? And we'll get into whether or not that would be a good or bad thing. Like, did they leave it off in a good spot, and do we need more? Or is is it a perfect discography? Is their legacy pretty fucking solid, and they can just go on and do whatever they want with the rest of their lives? So yeah, we're ranking 6 albums, and as usual, I throw it over to Eddie motherfucking Sparxx to start us off with his number 6 Outkast album.
Okay, so my number 6 Outkast album, judging by, trolling other various lists and stuff. This won't be a controversial pick. I've gone for Idlewild.
Same here.
Nice.
We're matchy on our number 6.
And this is the movie soundtrack one. There's a definite emphasis on like the old timey swing jazz sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, this isn't a bad album by any means. It's just the least amazing, I feel, of their discography. Right out of the gate, the intro. Tell me this is a movie soundtrack without telling me this is a movie. Oh, hang on, wait a minute, they do. Mighty O is a catchy ass song. Peaches. By the way, there are going to be a shitload of brackets moments today. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Peaches, featuring Sleepy Brown and Scar. Cool vibes on this one. Idlewild Blue. Don't you worry about me. Very nice. I like that bluesy riff. Infatuation interlude. If I had a quid for every interlude I'm about to talk about in this episode, I wouldn't have needed to go to work today.
Yeah, I mean that's a hip hop thing. There's a whole lot of skits and interludes and things like that. Not on all of them, but a lot, a large majority of hip hop albums.
This is definitely the highest quantity of them we've just done in the past, though. So yeah, Morris Brown. Sorry, where was I? I had a brain fart there. Into You, feat Cujo Goody, is a sexy track. Morris Brown, featuring Scar and Sleepy Brown. The chorus is nice on this one. Chronometrophobia, cool song. The Train, featuring Scar and Sleepy Brown. Really like this one. Life is Like a Musical, no bootleg DVDs, which is an interlude. Hollywood Divorce, featuring Snoop Dogg and Lil Wayne. Always happy to hear Snoop Dogg on anything, regardless. You know, he could show up on a Metallica album and I'd be fucking down.
He fucking did. He did. What did he do? Sad but True on that one.
MTV Icons.
On the MTV Icon.
True. Hey, I'm your life.
I like that so much. Yeah. That's I really want them to, when they put out that Metallica Blacklist with all the different cover versions. Some of it I liked, some of it I didn't care for, but I kept thinking, I just want like a group of like straight up hip hop artists to do Metallica covers. I don't want some indie rock person to do it. I want this I feel like that would be fun and just really get, Snoop and Jay-Z and all these different people on board.
Have Be Real do like Holier Than Now, like what? No, more the crap rolls out your mouth again. Like that'd be so good.
That even sound that if you do that the right way, that's a hip hop song. That's a good idea. Or Outkast. Outkast want to be on board.
Still gelatin.
let's get Outkast back together just to do a Metallica cover for our cover album that we're putting together. So yeah,
hell yeah,
we'll be the ones that do it finally.
G-Funk tribute to Metallica. Be fucking sweet.
I'm okay with that.
Do like Wherever I May Roam, but like instead of a sitar, it's the G-Funk whistle.
Well, didn't you do that? What was the one that you did that you played for me?
Oh, I've got a few. I've got a few in the works.
They're fucking great.
I did the middle section of Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
Blackened, like a slowed down Blackened breakdown one I did. Mm-hmm. You know what? I might put one of these in like the episode at the end. Just maybe if I can find it.
Okay.
And I did a For Whom the Bell Tolls one as well. I'll have to find those because they're pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, where was I at? Zora, interlude. Call the Law, feat Janelle Monáe. Go Off, Queen. This was fucking good. Bamboo and Cross, interlude. Bamboo feature. Bamboo is the son of Big Boy.
Big Boy, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really cute. There's one on Speakerbox as well that's it's just nice to hear, it's kind of wholesome moment.
Yeah.
Bugface, fun track. Makes no sense at all, is a really jazzy one. In Your Dreams, featuring Killer Mike and Janelle Monáe. Cool song. PJ and Rooster, more swingy, jazzy vibage. Neutron Angel, featuring Wild Peach. That Hammond organ is nice. I like that. Or is it a Hammond organ, or is that the Hammond organ a bit more distorted?
I think it's a Hammond organ in that song.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm just trying to get things right. Greatest Show on Earth, featuring Macy Gray. You're Beautiful, interlude. Oh, that's nice. When I look in your eyes, not to be confused with the 1992 ballad by Firehouse. Dying to Live is a moody penultimate track, and A Bad Note is this big old guitar solo-y thing at the end.
Yeah.
All in all, I enjoyed it. However, not as much as the 5 above it, and I'm going to hand it over to you to bounce off of that.
So Idlewild, there was a big buildup to this for me because I was a really big Outkast fan. And so I was looking forward to this. And I remember that I I got to hear the album early because at that point I was writing album reviews for a website. And so
Ah,
I got the album several weeks in advance and then listened to it and did my review, which actually wasn't a very nice review. I gave it basically like a 5.5 out of 10. Um,
oh,
and it's actually on the internet. So you could look it up. Look up Outkast Idlewild reviews, Stephen Ivy. You'll find it, and you
wow,
can go read it. But I was so disappointed in the album that I never saw the movie. Like
wow.
I was so bummed that I didn't love this album that I was like, and then the reviews started coming out for the movie, and I go, I'm probably not gonna like this, and I don't want to see it. I still haven't seen it. I'd like to one day see it, but I put it off because I'm just like, what if it's really bad? And I don't want that. I don't want that for them. And like on the soundtrack, most of the tracks are not apparently not even in the movie. So some of them are, but then there's some classic Outkast that's also in the movie. But the reason why it was such a big disappointment is because I feel like Outkast, when it comes to me as like a fan of an artist, they were doing things exactly as I would love them to do it, because their sound had continued to expand and become this unique thing that sounded like nobody else. And then just when they had gotten at their biggest, then they did this massive double album, where they each did their own album. I'm like, fuck yeah. And then the next announcement was a fucking movie. And I'm just like, fuck yes. This is like, literally, it was just like they were, to me, on a trajectory to just be these out of this world, famous, huge, influential hip hop artists, which they are. But then I heard the album and I went, this is fine. But the idea of it and what they were trying to do with incorporating the different styles of music into this, the idea was much better than the finished product, in my
Yeah,
opinion. And there's so much of it that just isn't very engaging. Like on repeat listens, things just sort of start to fall away about the album. And some of the songs seem a little bit half baked, but I guess, if it's a soundtrack, technically it's not really that big of a deal. But the thing that is so interesting to me is listening to this album again now. It's like you can tell that so much work went into this album.
yeah,
And it almost, to me, feels like, for lack of a better description, so much work going into a product that's only 50% finished,
yeah.
but then is also entirely too long at the same time. It's like, so it's really frustrating because it's got its standout tracks and it's really cool moments, and there's so much about it that I just want to like, but there's also so much about it that I just go, if I'm being honest, I don't want to listen to this. It's for when it comes to Outkast, they've got every other album they did that I would rather listen to aside from this one. So it's not awful, but in the story of Outkast, I think that it would do them a great service to just get back together for one more album and just blow everybody's minds just once, one more time. Just come, both of them together, because that would be fascinating now. Them, because this, we're talking almost 20 years later,
Yeah.
and if they get back together, older, wiser, probably much more in tune with the sound that they would want to put together, and just throw out something new and just close the fucking book on it, then maybe Idlewild would seem a little bit more like that moment in their career where they just were a little bit too ambitious for what they actually had to offer at the time. And then maybe that'll end up making it a more enjoyable chapter in their career. Because as it stands, as an ending, it feels so much like a Idlewild. Oh, nah? All right, well, bye. And so it kind of bums me out. But it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. But it very easily went to number 6 on my list and yours. And so yeah, that's our number 6, Idlewild from 2006.
It did make me laugh. What was it? There's a list I saw, like I trolled a bit, like Reddit, having a look at, people's, takes on the discography, and I saw one guy like do a 6-point ranking, and it went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every album is fucking great. Idlewild.
I saw an article recently. I think it was Rolling Stone that like did like truly awful albums by great artists, and they listed Idlewild on it. I'm like, okay, no, that's not. There are
it's nowhere near awful. Fuck.
No, but they also put fucking Saint Anger on there too, just because. So that leads me to believe that like Rolling Stone is now like mid-40s-year-old dudes who are just trying to be relevant, and they're like, what are the albums that people say are bad? Let's put those on there. Why is it bad? I don't know. I just read it on the internet a whole bunch of times. Put it in a list.
It's like a really negative version of the member berries from South Park, where they're like, remember Star Wars? I remember. Remember Saint Anger? Remember ping ping ping? I remember. And it's like, dude, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So
something new.
Idlewild does not belong on a truly awful albums list. That is,
not
but Rolling Stone has been out of touch with music since the beginning of their publication.
Yeah.
There's been so many amazing albums that whatever schmuck they had fucking writing for them was just like, actually not very good. I prefer the new Joan Baez album. And I'm like, okay, go fuck yourself.
I remember reading like the Rolling Stone 500 greatest albums list or something, and when it became just and this is not by any means me slagging off the Beatles, but when it became a fucking Beatles circle jerk in like 7 of the top 10 spots, I was like, oh, fuck off.
Oh, but now I don't know if you've seen it recently, but the past several years, now they just arbitrarily throw in hip hop albums really high up where they don't belong. So it's like above Abbey Road, here's a Jay-Z album. I'm like, fuck, no. Jay-Z is amazing. Nothing he did goes above Abbey Road. Come on. But they throw him in there because everyone will be like, see, we're hip, guys. Here's some hip hop thrown in and some other stuff that's like current.
Hey, fellow kids, would you like a vape?
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so yeah, that was number 6, Idlewild. Moving on to your number 5, Outkast album. Are we? I don't honestly. I don't see us matching up all the way here, but it could be surprising. You never know.
Well, from here on in, I enjoyed most of everything I heard enough. So, so much so, like, I don't think Idlewild will be an all the way through listen again. However, there were, at least, 4 or 5 tracks on there that stood out enough for me to save them.
Yeah.
And this next one coming up, which is their most commercially successful and largest project with Speakerboxx, The Love Below.
Okay.
So this is my number 5 spot. I have my reasons, but I also completely understand why it is as massive as it is, because the stuff on here that's fire is just a fucking inferno. But it's the most commercially successful record on this list. It's the one with Hey Ya on it. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. Intro does what it says.
Speakerboxx.
Ghetto music. There is something almost prog about this song. Like the changes in it, I'm like, like, damn.
Yeah,
Rush.
First time I heard that track, just the actual, like, the chorus part, I guess if you want to call it a chorus, I was just like, this is like nothing they've ever done before. Like, how could this song get any cooler? And then it cuts to the halftime with the feeling good, feeling great. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like, it literally went from being like an amazing album opener to a mind-blowing album opener. So,
Yeah, there's so many cool parts in it. Unhappy flow. The flow on this song reminds me of Snoop at points, and I love that sort of laid back kind of feel.
Yeah.
Bowtie featuring Sleepy Brown and am I saying this right? Jazz Fa. I sound like a dweeb.
Nah,
right
you're
now.
probably right. I don't know that there are
I
some
enjoy the music of this jazz fa fellow.
there are some artists that they have as features that I'd never heard of again, and so I don't know their names. So
Either way, it's cool stuff.
yeah,
The way you move, featuring Sleepy Brown. Those
yeah,
horns, me likey.
yeah,
The Rooster, not to be confused with the 1992 song by Alice in Chains, but this song is a lesson in building tension in a rap song. There is like an anxiety to this song. Like, it's a cool one. It's not
yeah,
unpleasant to listen to, but it's like, where's this going? If this feels like it's going to go off the rails any second, but I love it.
yeah,
Bust, featuring Killer Mike. Love the vibe on this one. War is a cool song. Church has a weird little funky beat on it. Bamboo, which is an interlude. This was really cute.
yeah,
Significantly younger Bamboo on this song. And it's really cute. I love the part where he goes like, motherfucker. It's
yeah.
but yeah, Tomb of the Boom, featuring Concrete, Big Gip, and Ludacris. This song fucks, like, straight up.
Yeah.
Emac is this pitch shifted interlude. Knowing, Me Likey, Flip Flop Rock, featuring Killer Mike and Jay-Z. Cool stuff. Interlude, it's, just a little hyping up the album spot. Reset, featuring Kujo Goody and CeeLo Green. Love the smooth, like, melismatic female vocals whenever they pop up, The Boy is an interlude. Last Call is nice. Bow Tie, postlude. That's interesting. I've not seen one of those before. If you'll pardon the pun, puts a nice bow on Speaker Box.
Yeah.
And then The Love Below, which is the intro to Andre 3000's half of this record. Love Hater is a straight up jazz song. So already coming in, like, Big Boy stayed pretty true to the hip hop roots.
Yeah.
But Andre 3000's taken it to strange new places.
Yeah.
Where was I? Love Hater, God interlude. Head don't count. Damn right. Sucking and fucking. Happy Valentine's Day. Fuck that Valentine's Day. Spread. Gee, I wonder what this guy is talking about. Where Are My Panties? Yeah, I got some inner monologue stuff going on. Prototype is a sexy song. She Lives in My Lap. This guy's horny. Feat Rosario Dawson. Weird little funky beat on this one too. Hey Ya. Goes without saying that this song is a generational anthem. At the time of writing this, Hey Ya currently sits at 1,016,213,799 streams on Spotify alone.
Just on Spotify.
Only on Spotify. So to call this song a cultural leviathan is apt.
It's just a shame that it didn't do Nirvana and influence like tons of artists to do Outkast style stuff, because it didn't. Yeah. Like, I was just like, oh, it'd be so great if it's used and these people start just making this sort of different, unique, quirky music, and it didn't happen. Yeah. So, all right.
But at least we got Hey Ya. I mean, that's one of those quote unquote everybody's heard it.
Yep.
Overplayed songs that I don't get sick of it. There's some songs that are immune to the overplay, and I think Hey Ya is one of them.
I don't know. You probably don't remember this because you were a little kid at the time, but the song came out and became a massive hit, and there was actually a statement from Polaroid saying, actually, you don't shake Polaroids. You're supposed to just let them dry. Don't shake them.
That's amazing. When a company has to do damage control,
they're like, don't shake a Polaroid picture.
That one Polaroid CEO hears this on the radio. He's like, oh, fuck.
We've been trying to tell people for years, you don't shake Polaroid pictures. And here comes Andre 3000. Everybody's shaking them.
Anyway, you got Rose's hilarious chorus. Fucking love
I
it.
I
I
also the
know you
music
like the
video.
thing that your shit don't stink,
Yeah.
but lean a little bit closer. Yeah, roses really smell like poo poo. The fact that that is a line in a song
Yeah.
that goes as hard as it does, it like roses really smell like poo poo.
Yeah.
Deep.
There's a lot in that song that I really love, but
Yeah.
the music video is so much fun because it's like the high school play happening and it's
Yeah.
being done by the Love Below crew. And then halfway through the video, the speaker box crew crashed the party and they're like speaker box and they're like the Love Below. And I'm like, okay, that is perfect like marketing
Genius.
for that album. And it's an absolute blast of a video. And I just like that song's a banger. I fucking love that song.
Agreed. Good Day, Good Sir is a little interlude. Behold a Lady is awesome sauce. Pink and Blue, awesome beat on this one. Total vibage going on. Love and War is a peace on earth type song.
Yep.
She's Alive is a smooth jazzy one. Dracula's Wedding is a bluesy rocky one. You got The Letter, it's cool. My Favorite Things. There's a wild jazz techno remix of, My Favorite Things.
Yeah.
Take Off Your Cool, featuring Nora Jones, is a chill one. Vibrate, funnily enough, is a viber. And we close out on a song by the name of A Day in the Life of Benjamin Andre. This album, or this double album rather, is awesome.
Yeah.
But as a result of its kind of, big bloated nature, there's so much to, dive into that, like, I feel like once you've been through it the first time around, I'd probably like axe all the interludes unless they like kind of really build up to a song. And, it's just one of those things where it's such a massive album. It kind of feels like a commitment to listen to it,
Wouldn't it be awesome if somebody took the album and took out the tracks that shouldn't be there and then mashed it? They slashed those tracks and then mashed it together into one fucking amazing album. Wouldn't it be great if somebody did that?
Yeah, I wonder who's going to rise to the occasion to perform such a feat.
And I wonder, it would be really nice if we saw them do it, next week. That'd be really cool. So
That
maybe it'll happen. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, that's not my number 5. But I agree with a lot of what you said. I have criticisms about that album, and it's a really odd one because it's higher up for me, but it's one of those albums that there's a lot of criticisms, but my praises kind of completely overshadow those criticisms.
Which is
and so, we'll get there though, because my number 5 is their debut album, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music from 1994. And
Cool.
Really, if I could just do a really short review, why is this number 5? Because out of all their albums, it's the one that seems the least Outkast. It's it's very of its time. It's very 1994, only with like a more Southern flavor to it. And I feel like the Outkast sound is not fully formed yet. Like they're at this point, if I remember what I read, they had only known each other for a couple years at that point. So sure, they've been working together for a little bit, and they had creative freedom as far as I know when they put this album together. But I think they hadn't yet figured out how to bounce off of each other's strengths the way that they would with the following album. So there's really great songs on here, and it's got a really cool vibe all the way through. And it's an absolute classic, but I just think it's missing a lot of the odd, unique qualities that I associate with Outkast. They're a little bit, but it's like they maybe didn't realize that they could go that far, or maybe they were a little bit nervous about it. Like maybe they wanted to first get in with, the hip hop crowd first, and then
Yeah.
start being like, oh, by the way, we're fucking weird, and then it's I don't know, but it's not as varied or entertaining as what would come after it. Kind of a more understated Outkast, if you will. But good thing to remember though is that they were both like 18, 19 years old when they made this album.
Yeah.
And
Insane.
yeah. So they both had some evolving to do clearly, but like you think there are so many amazing albums that were done by kids. Like from a man who's about to turn 45, I look at 18, 19-year-olds, I'm like, you're just a bunch of fucking kids. But that age, so much great music starts to come out of people around that age. And it's, some people just have it. And obviously Andre and Big Boy have it and had it at the time. But I just think that I really like this album, but it's almost like would you like to listen to an Outkast album? Sure. Here's these other ones. Would you like to listen to a gangster rap album from 1994? Yeah. Let's put on Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music because it fits more in with that vibe. So, it's a great album, but it had to go at number 5 for me because the other 4, there's so much about these other 4 albums that just make Outkast this group that like they're unfuckwithable because of the other 4 albums that we're going to talk about. So, all right. So that was my number 5. And so moving on to your number 4.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we have entered full-blown unfuckwithable territory with this album here, with my number 4 pick, Stankonia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And like it looking at their discography, it hurt me to put it here, but there's a reason why I love what I love about the 3 above it, and it just
from here on out, I apologize if I start busting into doing parts of songs because
that's perfectly okay.
I felt I did that as I was listening to these albums again because these 4 here, the other ones that I'm talking about, like I know them so well that like it's just all these little things that I just know. And I just can't help but like rap along or do the skits along with the skits sometimes. It happens a lot. So,
well, as far as I'm concerned, we are in the place coined by Rob Halford, the Love Zone. And we are in the Love Zone now. So
I like that. I like that song.
Everybody get in the Love Zone. Intro is a bunch of sex noises and then bouncing.
That's literally. Have you noticed? Like every time we're done with an episode, and you're sending the files to me, and you go, "All right, bouncing," and I always do it. We're bouncing. It's like that's where it comes from.
Yeah, that's fucking ace. I love that. You've just blown my mind with that. You've said that so many times and I never put 2 and 2 together.
Yep. Because I never explain it. I just go, we're bouncing.
God forbid I start moaning. Gasoline Dreams with
yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's a great opener.
Burn. I'm Cool interlude. She's cool.
Bitch, stay off that blow.
So Fresh, So Clean. I mean, dude.
Ain't
catchy is an understatement.
Pass me. I'm just so
fresh and clean. Immediately followed up by Miss Jackson.
Yeah.
Which is a classic.
Their breakthrough. That was like their big breakthrough was that song.
Sarah Miss Jackson. I am for real. Nice. Snapping and Trapping, featuring Killer Mike and Jay Sweet. That beat's so fucking weird, but I love it.
And so Snapping and Trapping, for a lot of us, that was our first time hearing Killer Mike. And then shortly after, he would do solo. I don't know if he had done a solo album at that point, but he would do solo albums and then all of a sudden become a part of Run the Jewels, which is another group that we should fucking do one of these days. But that was my introduction to Killer Mike right there on that track. And he literally wraps that up with one motherfucking verse, and already it's a classic. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty fucking classic, dude.
Yeah. Like that's a mic drop moment for sure. It's like, I've arrived.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. The D F interlude.
Mm-hmm.
I put emphasis on the little full stops there. Spaghetti Junction is a junction near Birmingham. I fucking hate, so I don't drive anywhere near it. We're talking about music. It's a good song. Yeah. Kim and Cookie interlude.
Oh god, can I do that one?
Go on, do it. Whole thing. Okay,
I'll just do that. I'll just do her part because I love her part where she goes, "Remember old boy at the club went home with the motherfucker? I'm thinking I'm finna get my ass toe up, but dick so short, came quick. He got his. I didn't get mine. I'm like, fuck. You got yourself a motherfucking Minute Man. Motherfucking Minute Man." Anyway, there's more of it, but it's
incredible.
I love that part.
Oh man.
The interludes on this album, there's so many little skits where I just go, I would never remove that from this album. It just gives me joy every time.
You know what? Stuff like that is essential. Like if it's like entertaining enough to take up a chunk of an album's runtime, absolutely. But you know, there's some interludes where I'm just like, that could have just been like, you know, stuck on the end of the previous track.
Yeah.
But
I can go on record and say we can stop putting voice messages on albums like that. They never add anything. It's just leave off voice messages. Okay, cool.
I'll call before I come. Feet
I
Gangsta
won't
Boo
just pop over. Oh, rest in peace, Gangsta Boo. Shit.
Yeah.
She died recently. Yeah.
Rest in peace. And Eco as well is some sexy, fun groovage.
Mm-hmm.
Bombs Over Baghdad is an upbeat one.
That is the best Outkast song in my opinion.
Wow.
And my memory of that song. So I knew who Outkast were, and Outkast were not huge before Stankonia. They were in the hip hop world. They were pretty big, but they weren't like household names. But I remember us sitting up watching MTV in the middle of the night because at that point around 2000, in the middle of the night, you normally would see music videos. And so I was just probably like getting ready to go to bed or something. And then they play a brand new Outkast video, and it's Bombs Over Baghdad. That was the first single off of the album. And I'm just sitting there going like, this is the best thing I've ever fucking heard. This album's going to be fucking huge. And I hadn't even heard Miss Jackson or anything else yet. It was just the strength of that song that I immediately went to like everyone I knew. I'm like, just wait for this fucking Outkast album. I'm telling you right now. And so I love that. I love that fucking song.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Explosion featuring Be Real. Hell yeah, Be Real.
Yep.
Fucking love him. Good Hair, a little interlude.
Oh, I like that.
These hoes.
Can I do that one? The Good Hair.
Do it,
baby. You got some pretty hair. Oh, you know I got a little Spanish in me. Bitch, you ain't Spanish. That's Hawaiian silky.
Oh man, there's so many good ones.
There's one more that I like too.
I'm just gonna let you do your thing with the interludes.
All right.
We love these hoes, featuring Backbone and Big Gip. That we do.
Yep.
Humble Mumble, featuring Erica Badu. Sorry.
Yeah, her.
Yep. Upbeat funky number. Drinking Again is a little interlude.
There you go.
Down on your luck kind of interlude.
My favorite part of that is he goes, they say a computer could do my job better than I could damn do it.
Every artist right now be like,
yeah.
Oh man.
I just always like how he says a computer. They say a computer.
Now I don't know how to say this. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just a question mark in the running order. So I'm gonna say confused expression of my native tongue. Hey, that's
or
the confused Cornishman.
Or it could be the fuck.
Yeah. Oh man. But those triplet flows in there, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
Fuck. Red Velvet is a catchy song. Mm-hmm. Cruising in the ATLs.
Cruising in the ATL. Don't even know why that's on there, but it's so great. It's just like a little 30-second little song.
It's just like, you know, if they had a cool little part and they were like, well, it's too far to not have on here, but
yeah,
yeah, throw
it on.
They were like, we have to nerf this album. There can't be too many good songs. Gangsta shit, you know.
Yep.
Slim Calhoun,
Outkast, Goody Mob, and a Dungeon Click.
Love the 808 cowbell sound, and I love that they used it on a little melody. Toilet Tisha is a dark and very sad song. Like,
yeah,
damn, that caught me off guard.
They really do know how to like give you like some whiplash with some songs of like some real fun shit, and then all of a sudden there's like, yeah, we're going deep with this one.
yeah, that one really fucked me up, and I was like, oh, damn. It's like when you're watching an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and then it ends with a really like somber ending. You know, one of those like, Will's dad leaving.
Oh, fuck that episode. I'm never watching that episode again.
yeah, like there are just going slightly on a little bit of a Fresh Prince tangent, right?
All right.
I think the mark of a great comedy is its ability to make you tear up.
Yeah.
If you can care about characters enough, you've spent so much time laughing with them that you can just whiplash the viewer into bawling their eyes out the way Fresh Prince did a couple of times with me.
Yeah. This is why I simultaneously love and hate Ricky Gervais, because he makes shit where like the end of the episode, I'm like, why am I crying so much?
Yeah.
Show, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, it's like the big ones on my mind right now are obviously Will's dad because of his legendary breakdown at the end. Then there's the one where Carlton almost dies from drug use, and then Will gets upset at the end.
Yeah,
and then there's the one where there's a couple actually as well. There's the one where Uncle Phil has the heart attack, and Carlton doesn't want to accept it.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one I'm thinking of? Oh, and the one where Will gets shot in that attempted robbery.
Yeah.
And like there's just like there's like one or two every season that leaves you like, fuck. Like,
yeah.
I came here to laugh, damn it. No, I'm feeling something. You know? But yeah, Slum Beautiful.
And then there was that one where Chris Rock made a joke about Will's wife. That didn't end very well either, did it?
Some of my favorite edits are just like when they've rearranged the words. Keep fucking my mouth. Like, I'm going to.
And that was one of the weirdest moments I've ever seen, to the point where like I thought for sure for several days that it was staged, and then realized that it wasn't. And I still don't know how I feel about it, because if I have to choose a side, I'm on Chris Rock's side, but then again, the joke was bad. So I'm just like, it was a bad joke. Will's response was bad. But at the end of the day, they're both dudes that I really love. And to make things even better, it's like, as soon as I'm like, is Will Smith just not a good dude? And then he's all like, hey, we're doing Bad Boys 4. And I'm like, all right, Will, I'm back on board.
I think just going back to, I can't believe that's like a year ago now. That really messes with.
And it's been like 2 years since we did the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince discography.
Yeah, which is an episode that our listeners can go check out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, a fucking year. And I mean,
for me, I wasn't personally involved, so
no.
You know, I still enjoy, you know, him as a guy. You know, I think he had a lapse in judgment.
Oh, huge. Huge lapse in judgment.
But I think he's turned it around.
But here's the thing, though. For me, it affected me because those are both like guys I've looked up to since I was really young. Being, you know, Will Smith being the rapper, and then Chris Rock being from Saturday Night Live. They're both dudes that I've just loved forever. So if it had been somebody else, if it had been like Will Smith slaps Larry the Cable Guy, I'd be like, well, fuck yeah, fuck that guy. And I wouldn't care. I never would have thought about it again. But it's just like the fact that it's those two, I'm just like, oh, why you two? I love you both. Well, it is what it is.
No way. The fish from Shark Tale just fucking haymaker the zebra from Madagascar, you know.
That was a weird pull, but okay.
Yeah. It's so funny. I so many memes of like characters they'd portrayed just like wailing on each other just came out of it. Yeah. But yeah, man.
Where were we?
I think you were Slum Beautiful.
Yeah, there you go.
There we are. How ironic is it that we went on a fucking comedy tangent about Toilet Tisha? The most fucked up song. Slum Beautiful, cool rap from CeeLo. Prenup, you know, this made me laugh.
Yeah.
You know, of course I'll marry you. Sign the prenup? What? And Stankonia, Stank Love. Featuring Big Rube and Sleepy Brown. It's a sexy closing track.
That's I love the psychedelic tone of that fucking song. It is.
Yeah.
It's off the wall. And then how it ends with it slowing down and it's just the voice going straight low. God, that's some weird ass shit. I love it.
Well, I was thinking the same when it started doing that, I was like, holy shit, they did a Black Diamond. You know?
Yeah.
They just slowed the whole thing down.
Yep.
To this day, I will maintain that Kiss invented Doom.
Just on that song?
Boom. Boom. Yeah. Killer stuff. Anyway, that's Stankonia. For me, in at the number 4 placement. Over to you.
Cool. Not my number 4. My number 4 is the 1996 album ATLiens, which is to me the first real Outkast album where they just, if you are not into Outkast and don't know much and you want to like have a good place to start, I would say ATLiens is a good place to start because it's got enough just sort of straightforward hip hop, but at the same time they get a little bit off the wall, and there's a lot of classic tunes on it, and it's just, you know, they got more interesting and engaging, and not only just in the sounds but in the performances, everything just got turned up, and it's a fucking fun album. It's got an infectious energy. It's got just really smooth bangers and all. I don't know. It's got so much going for it. I do think, and I put it at number 4 because I think that the guys are still kind of coming into their own, but it's a huge step. Like to me, it's like a Kill 'Em All to Ride the Lightning step for me from Southern Playlistic to ATLiens. And the thing that listening to them from beginning to end, the thing that is very apparent to me is that the whole first album, the beats are pretty much totally produced by Organized Noise, which was a group of producers that they worked with. But then on ATLiens, they start producing their own stuff, and you can tell that they don't really need Organized Noise. And as the albums go on, there's less and less of those guys being involved. And honestly, Organized Noise, the probably, I might be wrong, but the biggest track that they ever produced was Waterfalls by TLC. And if you listen to the beat for Waterfalls, it sounds like so many beats that they made all just sound kind of like that beat. So I'm like, yeah, they had some cool other ideas too. But for the most part, it was just that beat would do, and then a little wah wah on the guitar. Wow, wow. There'd be that going on. It's like they did a lot of the same sort of shit. So, but kudos to them for being a part of the Outkast story. But it's very clear that Andre and Antoine do not need other people. They just need each other. And so, the only other thing about this album I could say, even though it's got so many bangers on it, it does lose a little bit of steamer on the middle. But it for what it offers, that doesn't bother me that much because it's such a huge step forward for them. And overall, I don't think there'd necessarily be a song I would skip. I just think that there are strong songs, and then there are songs that are pretty good. And so I don't really have much else to add for this, but my number 4 is ATLiens from 1996.
Nice. Cool. So we have entered the number 3 slot, the bronze medal. And my number 3 pick is Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music.
All right.
Or, sorry, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music.
That's the praise came from far and wide. Yeah.
Well, this very much feels of its time. It's that, early to mid 90s gangster rap vibe. And, me growing up listening to, the GTA radio stations, this feels like something that could have been on the Radio Los Santos station.
Oh, they could have just played this entire album through that game.
Yeah. Because like this definitely has a distinct, even though they're, from the South and it does have their Southern flavor on it, there is a strong East and West Coast influence on the sound of this album. Like you said, they had yet to fully come into their own, and it is very much like the jump from Kill 'Em All to Ride the Lightning. That's a really good, analogy for when a band takes a significant step up in their identity with their second album. Peaches, the intro track, ironically leads into my intro to Let You Know. It's a cool foreboding track that leads rather nicely into Ain't No Thing But a Chicken Wing. And it has that Snoop Dogg-esque delivery on it, that I fucking adore about this era of hip hop. So for me, I was like, it's not Outkast doing Outkast, but it's Outkast doing a style of hip hop that I would probably consider my favorite era of, the genre.
Yeah.
Welcome to Atlanta, it's, a little interlude simulating a flight over Atlanta, which is a nice little, reference to where they're coming from. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. Thank God for copy and paste, because I was not going to type that again. Call of the Wild, Spooky Chorus, Players Ball, Gangsta Vibage, Claiming True, same goes here. Club Donkey Ass is a sexy little interlude. Funky Ride, always love the 808 cowbell sound and a guitar solo. And Sax, Flim Flam, it's got some, haggling. Get Up, Get Out is a motivational track. True Dat, Right On to the Real, Death to the Fakers, hell yeah. Crumbling Herb is super catchy. Hootie Hoo, the bass line reminds me of Billie Jean. Cool stuff. Deep or otherwise. D, E, E, P. Great vibes. Players Ball, great closer. All in all, had a great time listening to it. I love the old school feel. Love that kind of early 90s hip hop feel. And to me, you know, this I love on an equal plane to Stankonia. My 3 and 4 spot are interchangeable. But, you know, with that, they would find their own identity and hit back with a confidence that is just insanely high quality on the follow-up and the follow-up to that one. Yep. So with that, my little love letter to Southern Playlistic, back over to you.
Cool. My number 3, you already talked about it. Sparxx / The Love Below from 2003.
Okay.
I've always referred to this as the hip hop White Album because the White Album was like the Beatles all kind of separately making songs, and then they just randomly put them together in an album.
Number 9.
Yeah. And then that sounded exactly like it. We're going to get a copyright strike.
Number 9?
No, we can't do that. But yeah. And just like the White Album, I think the White Album could have been so much better as like one album. So maybe we should do a Slash to Mash White Album someday, because I think that could have been a tight one album thing that could have blown everybody away. But that being said, like I said earlier, like this was to me the next logical step for them. They had made their album that had broken through to the mainstream and they'd become huge. And so they then did a bigger thing, which is each of them doing their own side of things. And I like that they did it, but there's also negatives to them doing that. Because the one thing that I always leave this album thinking I think they really need each other. One of them needs the other one less, and it's not what you're thinking probably, but so we'll get into it. So the Sparxx to me is the superior half of the album, even though from a experimental and just sort of out there way, The Love Below has more to talk about, I guess. But Sparxx is, for the most part, a really tight collection of songs. Not all killer, but definitely no filler on this side. And while Andre is more experimental and eclectic, there's a more enjoyable energy to Big Boy's half and more memorable songs. You get to the Love Below half, which has always been the second half to me. Because when it came out, it was 2 CDs, but the front cover was Sparxx. And so it always, you felt you listen to Sparxx first, then you listen to Love Below. But by the time you get to Love Below, even with songs like Hey Ya and Roses, which are just, 2 of the biggest from this album, Love Below has so much less staying power with the actual tracks. After a while, especially now, I've heard it many, many times, and listening to it again with a more critical mindset, it's almost like it's a whole bunch of interesting tracks, not necessarily great songs. So that's the downfall here, is I think that Andre had a lot of cool ideas and he's very ambitious, but I think in order to make that entertaining, Big Boy needs to be there to sort of ground him a little bit. Same thing with Andre needs to be there for Big Boy to be like, hey, we could make this more interesting. So I really think that the two of them together are what made Outkast at their best so fucking good, because them together made this incredible combination. But if you're listening to these albums back to back, I feel like Big Boy is able to hold his own and still make a great album. Andre's a little bit too out there. But I think that there's a different audience for that. So I think that there are those of us who are hip hop fans who love Speakerboxxx. Then there are those people who are like the music critics who listen to some hip hop, but they also write reviews about jazz albums. They're the ones that are going to hear Love Below and be like, oh, these are the interesting things that are happening in here. But those people are so far removed from what actually makes music entertaining. You can only rip things apart so much before there's no song left. And so being able to fit right in the middle is to me, and that's just because it's a personal preference. Like I want music that's going to make my brain work, but at the same time hit that other part of my brain that's the pleasure zone. Both of those things together are what make great music for me. And so I wouldn't, like, we're going to do a slashed and mashed for this album, and I think we can make a fucking killer album out of it. But that being said, this album being what it is, I don't think anything should be changed. I would never go to them and go, do that again, only do it as one album, because I think the thing that makes Outkast stand out is the fact that they did something like this. Yeah. And were very fucking successful with it. Very. Like, they were huge and got even bigger. And so you know, my gripes about it are all just sort of comparing it to the next two albums that I'm going to be talking about, because we've got two completely unfuckwithable albums to talk about after this. But at the same time, I love ambition. I love ambitious projects. I love it when groups do stuff you don't quite expect or throw things out there that are more of a swinging for the fences with something that isn't necessarily a sure thing. And that's why I really like this album, and one of the reasons why Outkast is a fucking amazing group. So anyway, that being said, we're going to the top two, which we have we don't have the same top two, but it will be interesting to find out if we have the same number two or number one. I don't know. We'll find out. So let's move on to the number two Outkast album from Mr. Eddie Sparxx.
That is me. Yes. Okay, so my number two is AT Aliens.
All right.
This really is where Outkast becomes Outkast, you know? They coming off of the heels of being booed at the, what was it? It was like a newcomer award for like something, and they were booed on stage because they were from somewhere that wasn't the East or West Coast. So they were like, well, now you've charged us up with that energy.
Yeah, and he Andre's, I think, classic line was, "The South's got something to say." And I think that's one of his lines that he said, and like, I mean, they did, and you know,
and like, here's the thing, that I feel like that really charged him up for this next one, because they come out swinging. You know, you got "You May Die" is an intro, and then you get "Two Dope Boys in the Cab."
Oh yeah, great fucking song.
Sorry, I didn't do that properly. "Two dope boys in a Cadillac."
Oh, yeah.
AT Aliens. That
throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And if you like fish and grits and all that pimp shit, everybody let me hear you say, "Oh yeah,
oh yeah." Fucking great stuff. Wheels of Steel, not to be confused with the 1980 Saxon song of the same name.
or a number of 80s hip hop songs that were called Wheels of Steel.
But yeah, oh man, Jazzy Bell, love the lady vocals on this. Elevators,
me and you, your mama and your cousin too, rolling on the strip on chromes, growing up slamming Cadillac doors. All
Yes.
right.
Agreed.
I tried my best.
Over the Woods, sparse yet hype. Babylon, smooth. Hell yeah. Wayland,
Hell yeah.
yeah. Wayland is this like short and sweet thing. Mainstream is a great song. Decada Psalm, sneaky kind of beat going on.
Mhm.
Millennium, rhymes. All I got to say.
Yeah.
E.T. Extraterrestrial is a movie directed by Steven Spielberg from 1982,
Oh,
not to be confused with
the
E.T.
Outkast song.
Yeah, okay. So, and 13th Floor / Growing Old, it's a chill kind of closer. There's a little remix at the end too that is on the original album, I believe.
Yep. Yep.
CD era, they started sticking stuff like that on. But yeah, it's a big step up in carving their own identity,
Mhm.
and you know, they would take that further on the next release, which I will be talking about soon.
Yeah, I'll be talking about it now because my number two
Hey,
is Aquemini from 1998. So
Gemini.
we did not match up on anything except number six, and
Wow.
so but yeah, Aquemini is absolute classic. It is Dre and Big Boy more in control and
Yes.
more experimental, expanding their sound. And it feels like the more that they're given control or taking control of their music, the more the energy just comes across, and the it's such a fun vibe of just, what the fuck's this going to sound like? It doesn't matter. Let's fucking give it a shot. And
Yeah.
I love that about this album. This album is an absolute journey of an album, and a very enjoyable journey. There's just, yeah, this one's a hard one to talk about just because there's so much about it that is impressive, and in a way that I would never like. There's some hip hop that I love, and I go, I think I could probably do that. Not the rapping part, but musically, I could throw something together that sounded like that. But you get to albums like Aquemini, and I go, nah, no way. I wouldn't even know where to begin. And so that's what makes it great to me, is like hearing these sounds. And so much of Aquemini and Stankonia, you listen to those albums in headphones. There's
Yeah.
so much fucking around with sounds that just happened in one speaker way over here at some point. Sometimes it's a back and forth thing. There's so much sort of psychedelic experimentation with the sounds in ways that first time around you may not hear it. If you're listening to the vocals or the hooks or whatever, then you get more into it and you're just like, oh, holy fuck, these dudes were just insane with what they were trying to do with the beats and everything. And on top of that, the song Spodioti Dopalicious was the soundtrack to many late night drives for me in the early 2000s. Like, it almost became like part of a ritual where, like,
Yeah.
the end of the night partying would be over, and I would get in my car and I would crank up Spodioti Dopalicious
Yeah.
and just drive windows down, driving home. Like, that was like, I was just like, nah, there's no other song I need to listen to right now. It's just this one. And so Quimini is a fucking classic. And it only comes in at number 2 because they made an even more classicer album where they managed to carry over the fucking amazing experimentation and make a mainstream success. Which, who the fuck, how many artists have done that? But we'll get to that album. My number 2, Aquemini from 1998.
Nice. I'm going to jump straight off at that because Aquemini is my number 1.
Hell yeah. I cannot argue with this number 1 at all. At all.
It's one of those. This is one of those rankings where, like, maybe barring a couple of spots, any ranking makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all killer stuff, really. But yeah, Hold On, Be Strong is this vibey intro. Return of the G, great opener, dark
Yeah.
hip hop kind of feel. Rosa Parks has a fun chorus to it. Skew It on the Barbie, feat Raekwon.
Old school players to new school fools. Cats keep it jumping like kangaroos. To skew it on the Bobby, we ain't trying to lose. Said I be goddamn it, they done change the rules.
Third catchy ass song in a row.
This is like the only time I get to rap.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a fantastic job.
Why, thank you.
There you go. Aquemini, vibes galore.
Yep.
Synthesizer featuring George Clinton.
Yep.
Like, and I'm just gonna say this: the George Clinton feature was just
oh yeah,
beautiful. Slump, yet another catchy banger. Baby noises do always tend to give me anxiety though. So if I have one gripe about this album, like, I don't know what it is. It's just
you are not a Timbaland fan.
It's just like the baby noises always tend to give me a I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because my birth was kind of a traumatic experience, like almost fucking died. But I don't know. It's probably some deep rooted thing. West Savannah, love that beat.
Mm-hmm.
The Art of Storytelling Part 1, really admire the ability to rattle off rhymes the way they do. Like, I genuinely wouldn't know where to begin. Sometimes I tried to string. Yeah, look, see that? I tried to string a sentence together at a normal talking speed, right?
That is why we are not rappers.
Yeah. This is why I keep my mouth shut and hit things. That thing behind me there.
Yeah.
The Art of Storytelling Part 2 is just another good one.
Yeah.
Mamacita. I like the female vocals on this one.
Yeah.
Spodioti Dopalicious. Yeah. Chilled funk vibes, man. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with you on the Night Drive thing.
Yeah.
There's some songs just hit different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all Scared, feat Timo, Big Gap and Kuja. Cool song. Nathaniel, phone call sounding rap sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Liberation with CeeLo. Great stuff. Chunky Fire, strong closer. Great stuff. Goddamn. Goddamn, dude. Yeah. Like when I heard this album, it was one of those, where has this been?
Oh,
my life? Yeah. Like, cause I'll be honest, like until we did this, I was a hits guy. Like Green Day, like we did Green Day. Mm-hmm. I always knew the big songs, but I'd never like listened to full albums. And I was just so enthralled and impressed with everything I heard this time around. Like, this has made me an Outkast fan. Yeah. This outing that we have done. Initially I was like, well, I'll give it a go. See if I have an itch to return to it. And for my top picks, dude, I can't fucking wait to listen to it all again, especially Aquemini.
I'm pretty sure that Hey Ya is their most popular song, right? Like I think Spotify spins wide. So that does them a little bit of a disservice, because if that's the song they know, I'd be like, that's not really Outkast.
It's misrepresentative.
It is. I mean, it's an amazing song, but it's not exactly what I would say defines them. What I would say defines them is their 2000 album Stankonia, which is my number 1.
Yeah.
And this was a huge breakthrough for them. One of those I told you so moments in my life where I told all of my friends this album was going to be huge, and it was, because sometimes I know things. But it just got so many classic songs on it. And it literally takes what they did with Aquemini and steps it up a notch, where they're literally like, well, we can still make this experimental and enjoyable hip hop, but also make some fucking hits at the same time. And it's just a really fun, varied, innovative hip hop album, and a further expansion of their sound. Really like the ultimate, of the Outkast sound is on here. And they just nail it. Like every single part of this album, to me, they nail what they're trying to do. just even the fact that most of the time when I listen to an album and there is a skit, I will end up skipping it. They put together an album that has several skits, and they are absolutely essential to the album, in my opinion. And yeah, I just think that Stankonia is just such a perfect album, and one of those few examples of something that is ambitious and interesting that actually becomes popular. And once again, I was hoping that there'd be way more hip hop that pushed boundaries, and there is, just not a lot of it, and not a lot that is popular. And so, yeah, I guess once you do albums like Aquemini and Stankonia, who can improve on that, really, I guess? And so, there's not really much further that you can go. But yeah, Stankonia is the only one of theirs that I actually have on vinyl. I actually have an original vinyl from 2000. I just didn't bring it out because I'm just like, fuck it. But they are, like, to me, they should be in the list of the best hip hop groups ever.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I just think their shit is so good, and I struggle with the idea of them getting back together and doing something else, because is it going to be good? Should we leave it where it is or not? But I'm a big enough fan where I'm interested to at least hear what they're going to do. So it's a touchy subject, because I'm all like, I don't know. But at the same time, I go, they could end up coming out with something that just fucking blows me away, because I kind of want to hear, 45, 50-year-old Outkast, what they would bring to the table now. Because neither one of them have done a whole lot since then. Like, the one big thing for me that I know is that Big Boy did an album with the group Phanogram that was called Big Grams, and that's actually really good. Phanogram's a great group. That's a duo, really, but it's like a what would you call that? Indie electronic pop music, I guess. But it's really good. But they did an album with Big Boy called Big Grams, and that's a great album. But for Andre, I feel like Andre's put out like singles maybe, or been on other people's albums, but I don't think he's done anything since then. I might be wrong. Put it in the comments or whatever if he's done an album, because I don't think he did. But anyway, yeah, Stankonia, my number one. So nice. So we got to give the salute or the celebration to Outkast. 3, 2, 1, yeah! We did it! All right, nice. There we go. Outkast ranked. But as we alluded to earlier in the episode, the Outkast, they
are to be slashed and mashed.
Yeah, the Outkast love is not over. We have another episode coming next week, which will be Slashed and Mashed, Speaker Box, and The Love Below, which is going to be interesting, because I went into it thinking I'll probably slash a whole bunch of Big Boys and keep a whole bunch of Andres. But now that I listen to it again, I go, I don't know if that's necessarily what we need to do. But we're essentially, at the end of the day, they're both double albums on their own. The length of them, it's gonna be taking like a massive amount of music and then narrowing it down to a still pretty fucking substantial amount of music.
I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to cut it down to the runtime of about the length of a single disc.
So 80 minutes. It has to be under 80 minutes.
Yeah. I think that'll be the way to do it.
Okay.
Cool.
So that'll be next week, and that'll be interesting. And
you'd still need like 4 LPs to play it vinyl.
Yeah. So. Yeah. But so that'll be an interesting discussion and that'll be a fun episode. Plus that's next weekend's my birthday weekend, so we'll be doing it.
Hey.
I'll be in party mode, so I'll probably be a little loose.
Hey.
We'll see. I might smoke a spleef. I don't have any weed. Anyway, So yeah, that was Outkast, the ranking, and that was great, and always good to get some hip hop on this show. And I don't even know where we would go from there as hip hop, but don't worry. After our second Outkast episode, we are, I think we're back into metal. Fuck, I don't remember what we're doing.
Allow me to consult the schedule on the fly. You guys get to see and a look into.
As I tell everybody, when somebody says, "Are you going to do this artist?" and I go, "Yes, it's on the list," and that is a very long list.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a very long list of shit that we are going to be doing, and so it just depends on where it falls into it, where the wind blows us, or something.
Hey, man.
Without giving anything away, what's the genre of the next episode? La da da da. That was the next episode.
So the next episode following the upcoming Outkast Slashed and Mashed, you know what? It starts with a Q, and I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
All right, we're gonna be doing Q-tip.
It's a two-parter as well, so there's a lot to chew on.
I love how you said the letter Q, and that pretty much narrows it down to two artists that it could be.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go one step further. Both bands have Queen in it.
He's not wrong. There are two bands that have the word Queen in them that I can think of.
The one is slightly heavier, very, very much heavier. And that will be the one. Oh, we're doing fucking Queens, right? Fuck it.
That's just for the peanut butter platypuses that made it all the way through the Outkast episode to find out we're doing Queensryche. Who the fuck? Yeah. That is our core audience. The people that I want listening to our stuff are the ones that care about Outkast and Queensryche in the same way.
Yes. Yeah. This is how we weed out the weak, man.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, that's the ending of this episode. Join us next week for our Outkast Slashed and Mashed. It'll be a fun one, and until then, as usual, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Later, dude. Oh, quick plug, actually, real quick.
Don't shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, don't fucking do that shit. We don't like that. Yeah, my band Sage has released a single.
Yes,
and it's called Sick. And if you search it type in Sick and then Sage with 2 asterisks either side of Sage, because apparently there were too many people on Spotify called Sage. So we just stuck a little punctuation on there. But yeah, song's called Sick. Band is called Sage with 2 asterisks. One either side.
How did you distribute it? Well, who's the distributor?
We went through DistroKid.
Okay, go. You can get the DistroKid link that actually links to whatever player everybody has, and if you want to send me that link, and then I'll put it in the description of the video, and it'll send.
Callum's the guy that has it, so I will.
Yeah, tell him to. You can go get. I think it's called a hyperfollow or something, and you can get that link, and then literally you click it, and it'll go open it in whatever service you use. So,
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll do that. So go click the link. If I was able to get it, it will be in the description. Go listen to Sage and their debut single.
I forgot that we weren't live there for a sec. I thought I had a moment where I was like, "Shit, I'm gonna miss my opportunity," and then it was like, "Oh yeah, no one's hearing this yet."
Nah, not yet. But those of you, yeah. Anyway, that was the. Oh, wait, this is the longest outro ever.
Yeah.
so we'll just throw in a later dude, and we'll get out of here.
Later dude. Yeah.
All right.